We had just brought our baby girl home, our first child. She was still in newborn clothes. We were still learning how to swaddle, how to hold her head right, how to breathe between the exhaustion. And then he disappeared. No calls, no texts. How is she sleeping? No, I miss you. Just silence. For 6 weeks, Nikki Mudarris said she heard nothing from the father of her child, LiAngelo Ball, the same man who posed in a matching outfit for a family photo shoot just weeks earlier, the same man who whispered he loved her in the delivery room. Now he was with another woman, and that woman, she had his child too. Was it betrayal? Was it fear? Or was it just the truth that sometimes love is nothing more than a placeholder before convenience comes calling? This is not just celebrity drama. This is a lesson in vanishing fathers, emotional abandonment, and the cost of loving someone who treats responsibility like an option. If you've ever been left holding the baby literally or emotionally, this story is for you. Like, comment, and subscribe to Lies Unveiled. In the beginning, they were picture perfect. Literally. LiAngelo Ball, rising basketball talent, once a UCLA star, part of the famous Ball family empire. Nikki Mudarris, a businesswoman and reality TV personality with her own following, known from Love and Hip Hop, Hollywood. Together, they looked like a brand. Matching outfits, gender reveal balloons, Instagram reels filled with baby bumps, luxury cribs, and soft lighting. They announced their pregnancy with coordinated photos. They posed hand in hand, smiling at baby showers, speaking of family. And when their daughter was born in the summer of 2023, fans thought the fairy tale was complete. In one video, Nikki said, "We're so blessed." She's already changed everything. But not even a month after their daughter's birth, things went quiet. Suspiciously quiet. No more photos of LiAngelo holding his baby. No co-parenting updates. Just Nikki alone. And then the accusations began. Nikki went public, alleging that LiAngelo Ball hadn't contacted her or the baby in over 6 weeks. 6 weeks. For a newborn, that's a lifetime. People started asking questions. Had they broken up? Was he injured? Was there something going on behind the scenes? Nikki answered all of it with brutal honesty. "We haven't heard from him at all," she said. "I have tried. I reached out. He knows where we are. But Hay's not here. Hay's not calling." Fans were divided. Some accused her of clout chasing. Others said she was brave for speaking up. But Nikki wasn't done. She dropped another bombshell. LiAngelo, allegedly, had gotten another woman pregnant while she was still healing from childbirth. That second woman? She wasn't anonymous. She had posted cryptic hints. She had a timeline. And the overlap wasn't just suspicious, it was damning. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just about a messy breakup. It was about a man who built one family and abandoned it to build another before the first one had even found its feet. And the worst part? He wasn't denying it. He just wasn't saying much at all. Imagine this. You've just given birth. Your body is still healing. Your hormones are crashing. Your nights are sleepless. You're figuring out how to feed a newborn, how to burp her, how to stay awake long enough to not drop her from sheer exhaustion. And the man who helped create that child, the man who whispered, "We've got this," in the delivery room, simply stops calling. Not because Hay's overseas, not because Hay's hospitalized, but because he just chooses not to. That was Nikki Mudarris' reality. 6 weeks, 42 days, over 1,000 hours of silence. Not one FaceTime, not one "How's the baby?" Not one "Do you need anything?" Just absence. And silence is never just silence, it's the loudest rejection of all. It was like we didn't exist, Nikki later said. He knew where we were. He knew what we needed. And still nothing. No one deserves that. Not a newborn. Not a mother recovering from major life-altering trauma. And especially not someone who thought she was building a family. What made it worse? The public nature of it all. This wasn't a breakup behind closed doors. This was a split in front of millions, with followers, fans, and strangers watching. And the world had questions. Was he a bad father? Was Nikki being dramatic? Was there more to the story? But when a mother says, he hasn't checked on his baby in 6 weeks, the other side starts to matter a lot less. Because no matter what happened between two adults, a baby doesn't deserve to be ignored. And yet, even in the face of criticism, Nikki remained composed. She didn't scream. She didn't curse him out online. She stated facts. Painful, undeniable, human facts. She cried in interviews. She posted postpartum pictures. She let the world see her softness and her strength. Because sometimes, survival looks like telling your truth, even when it makes you the villain in someone else's fan base. And while Nikki was answering baby cries at 3 a.m., LiAngelo was reportedly living it up in LA, spotted at parties, smiling for cameras, silent on fatherhood. 6 weeks of nothing. No presence. No responsibility. No effort. That's not co-parenting. That's abandonment. And that's the moment when love doesn't just break, it shatters. When the silence finally broke, it wasn't with an apology. It wasn't with a visit. It wasn't even with a call to Nikki or a picture of him cradling his daughter. It came in the form of a statement to the press. I am not a bad father, he said. I just don't believe in calling every day. That's not how I operate. And with that single sentence, LiAngelo Ball tried to redefine what it means to be present. He wasn't angry. He wasn't defensive. He was detached. Almost like he believed the absence of communication didn't mean absence of care. But to many, it sounded like a man trying to rebrand neglect as independence. I am handling things in my own way, he added. Just because I'm not doing it publicly doesn't mean I'm not doing it. But let's pause here. This is a newborn. A daughter whose first few weeks of life are filled with crying, bonding, feeding, and learning who's there for her. Not a business deal. Not a PR campaign. A baby. And in those crucial weeks, the father, a man with wealth, time, and freedom, chose silence. Fans were divided. Some defended him. Hayes young. Maybe Hayes overwhelmed. Hell come around. But others, especially mothers, weren't buying it. A real father doesn't disappear, one commenter wrote. He shows up. Tired, confused, scared, but he shows up. Even worse, LiAngelo's appearances on social media didn't stop. He was seen smiling at NBA events, hanging out with influencers, posting cryptic quotes about doing what's best for yourself. Not one post about his daughter. Not one post acknowledging Nikki's pain. Nothing. It's hard to ignore a child when you're constantly being watched by millions. But it's even harder to watch someone pretend everything is fine when their absence is breaking someone else's world. And Nikki? She didn't retaliate. She didn't throw shade. She just kept being there for the diaper changes, the midnight feeds, the doctor visits. Alone. And that contrast, it spoke louder than any interview or denial ever could. This wasn't just a PR issue. It was a human issue. An issue of character, of responsibility, of choosing presence over ego. LiAngelo's words may have claimed he wasn't a bad father, but fatherhood isn't measured by words. It's measured by showing up. What happens when one person sees a child as a blessing and the other sees it as a burden? That was the invisible wall between Nikki and LiAngelo. Not distance, not another woman, not fame, but perception. For Nikki, this child was everything. She had carried her, nurtured her, protected her through swollen feet, restless nights, and endless uncertainty. "She's my whole world," Nikki once posted, even when the man who gave her life pretends she doesn't exist. But for LiAngelo, it seemed like the child wasn't part of the dream, just collateral damage from a relationship that had expired. Behind closed doors, friends whispered that he never wanted the second baby, that after the birth of their first child, things had already started to crack. He felt boxed in, trapped, more dad than baller. Nikki wanted family. He wanted freedom. So when the breakup came, it wasn't clean. It wasn't about closure. It was about cutting loose. LiAngelo didn't just leave Nikki. He tried to leave fatherhood behind with her. And that's where the resentment grew. Not just for Nikki, but for everyone watching. How can you post about your workouts, your clothes, your car, and never mention your kids? Some fans turned off their support. Others posted clips of Nikki with the baby, comparing them to LiAngelo's party photos. A split screen of love versus escape. And while LiAngelo claimed he was dealing with things in private, his very public absence was louder than any defense. Responsibility doesn't start with court-ordered child support. It starts with the conscious decision to show up, even when you don't feel ready, even when you're angry, even when you're scared, especially then. Because fatherhood, like motherhood, is built not on comfort, but on commitment. And Nikki? She was tired. Tired of explaining, defending, pretending. She stopped asking, stopped expecting. She just focused on her babies. "I realized I was trying to make someone care," she wrote, "and am done chasing ghosts." That single sentence, it said everything. She had shifted from pleading to power, from heartbreak to healing, from resentment to resilience. LiAngelo may have walked away from the relationship, but he also walked away from something bigger, a chance to grow, to rise, to be more than just a man with talent, but a man with integrity. Some absences are louder than any scream, and LiAngelo's silence wasn't just heard by Nikki. It was absorbed by their children. Because children may be small, but they're not blind. They recognize patterns. They feel energy. They know when someone shows up and when someone doesn't. Nikki didn't speak badly about LiAngelo in front of their babies. She never cursed him out in a rage. She didn't weaponize their daughter against him. Instead, she did what most single mothers do. She filled the silence with lullabies. She soothed the confusion with stories. She made excuses for a man who never made time. Daddy's working. Daddy's busy. Daddy loves you. He's just not here right now. But with time, those words stop landing. One day, the child starts asking, "Why doesn't Daddy call me? Does he have another baby instead of me?" And those questions, they cut deeper than any headline, deeper than betrayal, because they force a mother to explain another person's choice to walk away. And Nikki? She had to live with that reality every single day, changing diapers, feeding bottles, showing up to doctor appointments with a single name on the form. She smiled through it, but even smiles have limits. Because healing isn't just about moving on. It's about carrying the weight no one else bothered to lift. And meanwhile, LiAngelo kept moving. Photo shoots, brand deals, courtside appearances, but not one post about his kids. Not one birthday shout-out. Not one moment where the world saw him acknowledge what and who he left behind. To the outside world, it was drama, celebrity gossip, another failed relationship. But to Nikki, it was survival. To her children, It was a father-shaped void. And that kind of pain doesn't trend on Twitter. It lingers in therapy sessions. It hides in school drawings. It echoes in every question that begins with why. Why didn't he want us? Why didn't he come back? There are no easy answers. Only the truth. Sometimes, people don't leave because they don't care. They leave because they can't face the weight of what they built or what they destroyed. And the cost of their absence is paid by the ones who stayed. Love is not supposed to come in pieces. You don't deserve half a heart or a quarter of someone's attention. You deserve someone who shows up fully, not just when it's convenient, but when it's hard. Nikki learned that the hardest way possible. She gave LiAngelo her loyalty, her body, her years, and most sacredly, her children. But love without responsibility is nothing more than emotional theft. He didn't just walk away from her. He walked away from fatherhood, from the vows he never spoke out loud, but still implied with every I love you. And worst of all, he walked away without looking back. But Nikki? She didn't let the betrayal define her. She chose therapy over revenge, growth over bitterness, truth over performance. She didn't chase clout. She didn't weaponize the media. She spoke up once and walked away with her dignity intact. And maybe that's the hardest lesson of all. Closure doesn't come from the one who left. It comes from the one who stayed and healed anyway. To every woman who's ever been left with a mess, to every mother piecing together a family with invisible scars, to everyone who's ever heard, "You're too much." Let me say this: you are not too much. You just gave your love to someone who wasn't ready to receive it. And that's not your failure. That's their loss. Because real love doesn't hide. It doesn't flinch. It doesn't disappear when life gets complicated. Real love picks up the phone, shows up to birthdays, stays for bath time, and keeps its promises, not just the ones made in passion, but the ones made in the quiet moments when no one's watching. So if you're still healing, if you're still wondering what you did wrong, stop. You did nothing wrong. You loved someone. And now it's time to love yourself more. Because you don't just deserve love. You deserve the whole damn heart. Some stories don't end with justice. Some don't even end with an apology. They just end. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. LiAngelo Ball never looked back. He never gave Nikki the closure she deserved. But maybe, just maybe, that silence was the closure. Because sometimes what's left unsaid says everything. He chose his own comfort. She chose her children. He vanished. She rebuilt. And now, she's not the same woman he left. She's wiser, stronger, undefeated. At Lies Unveiled, we don't just tell stories of betrayal. We tell stories of survival. Of women and men who've been broken but not destroyed. Of people like Nikki, who walk away with their heads high and their hearts intact. So if you've been there, if you've been the one left with the pieces, know this: you're not alone. And this community sees you. This is your space, your truth, your healing. Subscribe to Lies Unveiled for more stories like this, where love meets lies and silence becomes strength. And if this story touched you, hit the like button. Leave a comment below, tell us your truth. And turn on notifications, because tomorrow we speak another truth.